Please welcome Melinda Person, President of New York State United Teachers. Betty Rosa, Commissioner of Education. And now, the 57th Governor of the State of New York, Kathy Hochul.
Governor, we have even people on the 5th floor and on the 3rd floor. So, good morning, everyone, and welcome. On behalf of Chancellor Young, the Board of Regents, and myself, I'd like to extend a special welcome to our Governor, Kathy Hochul, and her entire staff. And I also would like to thank all the legislators that are present supporting not only our work, but all the work on behalf of this amazing state. This is the first time that we believe to be decades that a governor has visited the State Education Department, and we are Governor, your attendance here speaks volumes of who you are as a leader, and also our lawmakers and all that you do every single day on our behalf. Our stakeholders have signed in to this issue of unity. Unity is crucial for all of our work to support New York State students, families, and especially our communities, to ensure that they have equitable access to learning opportunities in safe and supportive environments. One key thing, as we started this morning, I will tell you, Governor, that you have encouraged the relationship that I know I have built with my newfound brothers and sisters, commissioners, that are engaged in terms of our interagency work. We are all connected and we're all working together on behalf of the state. And the most important thing I have found, all the commissioners have learned their kindergarten lesson in playing in the same sandbox and sharing their toys. While we have come a long way since the pandemic started and along effects of COVID, the pandemic, as you know, exacerbated existing challenges and created new ones for schools and districts across the state, particularly when it comes to trauma. Trauma can result from food and housing insecurity, isolation, families, loss of income, and loss of parents or caretakers. These experiences can manifest in many ways, affecting students' ability to regulate their emotions and behavior, as well as the ability to pay attention in classrooms. I do have to also pause and say that I am also so proud of our stakeholders who are also here today, NISCUS, NISBA, SANY, PTA. These are the individuals that always say, as we say in Spanish, presente. We have responsibility, all of us collectively, to address these core issues to ensure that our students have the support necessary to fulfill and to make sure that these learning opportunities are focused on their success. It is not a coincidence that we are gathered here today in the Education Department's Office of the Professions, as an office focused on preparation and continuous development of licensed professionals. This includes mental health professionals who are the cornerstone of this invaluable work supporting the students and families of New York State. But they cannot do this work alone. I'd like to use a quote from Mother Teresa, Mother Hochul, and Mother Rosa. I know that I cannot do certain things, and you know you cannot do other things that I can do. But together, we know that we can do great things. In partnership with the governor, our state, our local government, and our educational colleagues, we can provide innovative resources to meet student needs in these unprecedented times and create the infrastructure that will ensure that these needs are met far into the future. And now, with whom we will do great things, and I know that she will be not only in this leadership role, supporting all of our collective work, and I am so proud at this moment to introduce not only our partner, our leader, Governor Hochul.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you. Today is about our children. More precisely, the future of our children. Whether they'll continue to slide academically, emotionally, socially, or whether we as a state say no more. Today we stop that slide and we start turning the tide and lifting them up and giving them the prospects of a far better future. This is the state of New York, and failure is not an option. So I'm really, really proud to be here in this place that reminds us of the symbolism, great buildings that were built at a time when people thought our possibilities were unlimited. And to be here today with a leader, someone who has been a great champion for our children, teachers, families, indeed, all of New York, Commissioner Betty Rosa. Thank you for reaching your hand out in partnership, building a bridge where there has not been as strong a bridge as there could have been in the past. And I thank you for sharing your values with all of us and implementing them across the state of New York. Let's give another round of applause to Betty Rosa. We talk about partners, we need partners. And I'll be talking more about the role our teachers play, and my God, they've been through so much. But to have Melinda Pearson, the president of NYSET, here with us today is another symbol of the partnership, the relationships, the alliances that are all coming together toward a common purpose. Let's give Melinda a round of applause as well. And as you talk about playing nice in the sandbox, I brought nice people to the sandbox. I have Dr. Anne Marie Sullivan, the Commissioner of Office of Mental Health, and also our Commissioner of Health, James McDonald. I want to thank them for what they're doing on behalf of our administration to talk about we're not working in silos, that education is not over here, and health is over here, and mental health is over here. They all come together in our young children. And so I thank you for being the partners that I've needed as well. We also have our local officials here representing the state capitol without a long commute, but with a lot of passion. That would be Assemblymember John McDonald and Assemblymember Pat Fahey. Thank you for your role in education as well, both of you. Thank you. The mayor didn't have a long commute today either. Thank you, Mayor Sheeran, for caring so much, so deeply about the prospects and the outcomes for our children in Albany City Schools as well, and all the great work you do. We also have our Albany School Superintendent, Joseph Hochreiter, and I want to thank all of our partners in education and advocacy who are here, our PTAs, our parents. It's hard to believe it's already August. Summer is flying by, and the new school year is right around the corner. And it's nice to look forward to this next year without having to say, are we going to do vaccinations? We have to wear a mask. What are we going to do? What do we do if we're in a better place than we were just a few short years ago, without a doubt. We've come a long way. No remote learning, no social distancing, no more masks. It feels good to be back to normal, except is normal good enough anymore? because something happened during that period of time. Unforeseen. No one at the beginning of the pandemic in March of 2020 could have foreseen that 3 years later, despite the fact that we had vaccinations and we saved lives and people are starting to get back to work and feeling somewhat normal again, we could not have foreseen the impact that this has had on our most vulnerable, our kids. No one could have predicted it. No one. Thought when they get back to the classroom, they see their friends again, everything's back to normal. But they lost so much learning, socialization. The older kids during that time when they're home, spending more time on social media. Another topic for another day, but a lot of negativity there that is having an effect on the psyche, especially our teenage daughters who are entertaining concepts, ideas of suicide at higher rates than ever before in our history. And I don't think anyone would have seen that all across America, math and reading scores would plummet after the pandemic, all across the country. It's not just a New York phenomenon, but this is New York and we'll take care of it here. So back to normal isn't going to work when our kids are already starting from behind. And our kids are also experiencing a mental health crisis like never before. So we have to do something differently. And that's what we're talking about. Talking about our kids and how we have a different concept of how we can help them, because being cut off from their teachers and their friends and their activities and their support system had a long-term effect. It was not just the short term in that moment. It still is with them today. And they had to trade their classroom for a computer screen. And the anxiety that some of these kids felt, especially in areas where there was a high rate of people contracting COVID, mostly our urban areas, mostly our communities of color, and one day a child is talking to grandma on the phone, and the next day grandma's on a respirator, never to be seen again by this child. That's not hypothetical. That's what I heard when I did roundtables and listening sessions with kids across the state. It's real. That fear and anxiety, the lack of security that they have now. Is something bad going to happen to me again? Because what they witnessed, none of us ever had to endure as children. When you're still being shaped and molded and understanding connections to other people, their sense of security has been shattered. And so they saw their parents sometimes lose their jobs, someone they loved lost. And more than 250,000 kids lost a parent to COVID. You couldn't have foreseen that either. That's a lot of weight for a child to carry. Anxiety and depression have skyrocketed, and if we don't give them support now, it'll be irreversible. And it'll affect their ability not just to get out of school, but also their ability to get a job later, and it'll ultimately lead a happy and fulfilling life. So when we fail our children now and don't give them the support now or the mental health services now, we are setting them up for a lifetime of dependency on others. That they'll need mental health services perhaps the rest of their lives if we don't nip it now. And that is the urgency that I sense and feel the people in this room share. So again, this entire country is feeling the same way, but why can't New York be a national model in resolving this crisis? First of all, you acknowledge it's real. You can't sweep it under the rug. It exists. Our teachers will tell you that. Parents will tell you that. So why can't we be a model to talk about how we help kids who've lost ground, how we get back on track, and how we get them the mental health support that they never would have needed, perhaps. Some of children always have, but the majority wouldn't have needed this. And now perhaps the majority do need some support, an affirmation that they're going to be okay, and teaching them coping skills that they may have lost during this 1 to 2 to 3 year period of uncertainty and fear. So we'll continue to make historic investments. Yes, it starts with investments, which is code word for money, right? Historic investments. No administration in the state of New York has invested more in education and mental health than we have this year alone. And that commitment continues today. That's why I'm proud to announce they will make $108 million available to deal with pandemic learning loss and also expand mental health support systems and services to our kids. And of that funding, Thank you. And of that funding, $100 million will go directly to school districts and BOCES to hire more teachers with specialized experience in managing and counteracting learning loss, because we have to stop the hemorrhaging there. Also pinpoint where children have fallen behind, how to get them specialized assistance to get caught up. The average student is 4 to 5 months behind right now. And all the strategies we need. And many of them are out there. We have to make it a holistic approach. Look at the state in its entirety, and not just the school districts that are the haves versus the have-nots, that their kids are going to end up in a better place. All of our kids have a right to have a healthy, strong educational foundation to prepare them for the world. We're going to need more mental health professionals. We need a lot more. And that was a major theme of our youth mental health summits and the listening tour that preceded it. I was in the Bronx sitting with a group of teenagers, and they telling me about their very direct experiences. And I was a little surprised, literally 3 years after really the worst of the pandemic, and they've been back to school for some time, how they would tell you in their own words, we're still feeling this. We wake up scared. Not sure if there's going to be another pandemic. Is this going to happen again? And they know they need services. And one young person, I said, well, don't you go to your school counselor or mental health professional? He says, there's one person in a school of 700, and if I sign up now, I might be able to get somebody to see me in a few months. Now, that's not serving our kids. That's a failure. So we'll invest more money, allow for more hiring, bring in these professionals, help them on site. Don't send them home and say you should go see a therapist someday. That's probably not going to happen. Let them get support in school, supplemented by outside services, of which we need a lot more of. So I made a vow to these kids as I sat there. I said, we'll do better. We're going to fix this. We're not going to leave you alone. We're not going to abandon you. So it was not something you expected when you were growing up, most of you, that you need a mental health professional in school. But school districts now need this. It's now as basic as having a reading or writing teacher. So we want to have a way so people can apply. School districts and BOCES can apply individually, apply as a group. High-need districts will get priority. Funding will be awarded over the next 2 years, and applications are due very soon, August 18th. It shouldn't take you long. Just ask for a lot of money. There's criteria to follow, but know that in my heart, I have high expectations for this to work. I'll be analyzing this. I'll be wanting to see metrics and how we're going to measure success. Was this the right strategy? I think it's a good start. If there's better ways to do it, I want to hear about it. We don't have all the answers sitting here today. Let's look at what other states are doing, what's going on elsewhere, other countries. But ultimately, when we are done and we are successful, we will be that model that others will say, I want to do it like New York did. Because they fell, like every other state did, but they rose up quicker. We helped our kids sooner. We didn't wait for them to start feeling the effects long-term in their lives. We captured them before they fell any further. And that's exactly what I want to do. And the remaining $8.3 million will go directly to expand school mental health clinics. And the state will cover up to $25,000 of startup costs on school-based clinics. Clinics in economically disadvantaged areas will get an additional $20,000. So where the kids are hit the hardest, we need to lift them up fastest. And I want to make sure that we talk once again about our teachers. Never, ever forget what they had to endure. Whether it was showing up in a classroom with still fear and anxiety, 6 feet apart, and anytime one of them went down, the class had to go away for a couple, 10 days, then come back again, and it was just so, so hard. And those who tried to be teaching it remotely, wow, it was an effort, but it didn't really turn out that well. Because so many kids didn't even have the connection, the digital device, to get them connected to their teacher in their classrooms. But when we asked the teachers to do what they could do, they delivered day in and day out. They delivered for us. They help so many kids, and they've had to do so much more. Sometimes they're a parent, sometimes they're a social worker, sometimes they're a therapist, sometimes they're just a friend. Our kids need a lot. And our teachers have been overworked, overburdened, and understandably burned out. And they need our support now as well. And that's a major part of our announcement, to help our teachers too. Some of them are still coming to grips with what they had to endure. And so the phrase, getting back to normal, sounds good. It's aspirational though, because we're not there yet. This is just a first step. And when kids fell behind, you cannot assume that they'll automatically catch up on their own. And the only way to talk about this is look at the cold, hard facts. The numbers are declining. Let's accept that. But it's not too late to do something right now. And let's continue writing a legacy where people know we care deeply about our kids. Always have, always will. I've raised a couple of kids. I know the struggles. Teenage daughter even, got through that. She turned out okay. I have a wonderful family, I'm blessed. But they had a good public school, 2 parents at home. Parents could bring in enough money to buy them the new set of sneakers and the book backpack. And now I'm blessed with a grandchild. A lot of families don't have all those things that I had. So I'll never take for granted what I had, but also I want to make sure that every other child in the state of New York has the same advantages. So they can look up someday and say, maybe I too can be a governor. I want little kids to think like that. I want them to know there's no limit to what they can do, but right now as adults we have to surround them with love and compassion and a vision that believes in each and every single one of them and says, we're going to get you through this. We are the adults in the room. It's time for us to act, and we're starting today. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And speaking of teachers and their incredible representatives, I want us to give a warm welcome to Melinda Pearson. What she has done already in her short tenure, but she knows the job. She's been in the trenches a long time fighting for teachers, because when you're fighting for teachers, you're fighting for kids. It's the same. They are together. Our teachers could go into any profession. They're obviously educated themselves. When they choose to go into something like this, something that most of us would be too faint of heart to attempt, and know that we have a lifetime of gratitude for what teachers have done. And I want to thank you for representing all of our friends and members of NYSUT. Melinda Pearson.
So I want to start by thanking Commissioner Rosa for your leadership on this and so many issues, but also for hosting us in this unbelievable space. I'm in awe as I look in front and behind me of the beauty here right in Albany, my hometown, and I have to spend more time in this building. And I'm going to talk about the grants being announced today, but I would be remiss if I didn't start by thanking Governor Hochul for finally fulfilling the promise of funding foundation aid. Yes. So the CFE fight began when I was a junior in high school. And it is something actually my high school US history teacher taught about it in my class. And I have been actively watching and part of this fight for 30 years. And you finally brought it home and kept the promise. So thank you on behalf of our almost 700,000 members here in New York. Now, NYSUT has long advocated for fulfilling the needs of the whole student, the whole child, including mental health, as critical to our academic success. This investment by the state brings us closer to our goal of building the safe and supportive classrooms that our students and educators need to thrive. We have known for years that the ratio of students to counselors, students to school-based mental health providers, school psychologists, that this was untenable. 600 to 1, 700 to 1. These were the kind of ratios we were seeing even before the pandemic. Now, stressors for our children have only increased during the pandemic, not to mention social media and the 24-hour news cycle that barrages all of us with undiluted access to a harsh and often divided world. These grants are going to allow our districts to hire more staff so that we can identify student needs before it becomes a crisis. They will allow districts across the state, including rural and our highest need districts, to open up free, accessible mental health for our students who need it the most. And they will allow school-based mental health providers to provide a wider variety of intentional and evidence-based care to our students. Now, I want to tell you a short story of a classroom that I was in. I was substitute teaching in a first grade class right after all the schools opened back up in September of 2021. And I was trying to teach a lesson on vowel teams, and there was a young lady in the back of the class who was crying loudly. And I tried to assist her, tried to console her, and it was really separation. It was her first month back into a classroom, and she hadn't had the socialization, the transition that most students would have. And I couldn't console her, and I had 24 other kids in my classroom. And so I called down to the principal's office, and he said, is there a safety issue? And I said, no. She's just crying, but loudly. And I said, well, I have my social worker is down with a crisis. My school psychologist has a crisis. And I'm actually headed to another place where there's a safety issue, where there's a mental health concern. So I can't send help right now. And so for 2 hours, she cried. And I tried to console her. All of her friends tried to console her. But it was in real life shining a light on the high needs that we have been unable to meet in this really difficult time. And so these grants are going to make a real difference to that little girl and to all the students in that classroom that we're trying to learn. I have spent my summer months traveling across the state speaking to our members on Long Island, to Buffalo, and I'm encouraged by the amazing transformation stories that I'm hearing of accelerated learning and addressing learning loss and supporting our students in the best way that our educators know how. They wake up every day thinking about how are they going to take care of other people's children. That's the type of members we represent. These grants are a win for New York State, for our educators because they support them too, and in addressing the important mental health crisis that you have shined a light on so well, Governor Hochul. Healthy schools create healthy communities. Healthy schools are the center of our communities. And we look forward to working with Governor Hochul and Commissioner Rosa and our other education partners and stakeholders in the room to strengthen all of our public schools in the years to come. Thank you.